I think every real horror fan has had at least one experience of feeling out of place when compared with quote-unquote mainstream society, but I don't think there's ever been a really good attempt to understand why it is that people like horror. Like, most horror fans are generally normal people who have pretty good reasons for enjoying horror, but what are those reasons? The real reasons, not the ones they learn to tell people to make society leave them alone. That's what our podcast is about, interviewing people in the horror biz to find out what it is about horror that makes them happy. My name's Steve, I'm a bit of a psychology buff, and my co-host is my friend Chris, who's a bit of a horror buff, and so far we've interviewed about 80 people in the biz and had a lot of fun with it, and we wanted to share with you some of the highlights. In this set of excerpts, we're just going to share some of the fun stuff. If you want to hear the real meat of the conversations, come check us out on Apple, Google, Spotify, or you can just use the player on our website. In this set of excerpts, we're talking to Paula D. Ashe, author of We Are Here to Hurt Each Other and Mother of All Monsters, actress, writer, and director Pollyanna McIntosh, known for her work with The Walking Dead, The Woman, and Darlin', and Robert P. Ottone, author of The Vile Thing We Created and The Triangle.
I remember very early on the thing that scared me to death was the Book of Revelation. We had a lot.
That's the good part.
Right. Except if you're like 4 and you think it's real. So if you're 4 or 5.
My memory of it is, it was really cool and metal because I was like 14 when I read it. But 4.
Sure. Yes. It's a little early for that. A little early for, the moon being red as blood and the night is black as sackcloth. Like the sun being as black as sackcloth. That's a little much for a kid. So I was raised among...
You're their target audience.
Yes, right. Which is true, though. So that's what makes it hard. That's why I said
it. Stingrays are creepy, though.
Well, they are. I don't like their faces. I know people think that, they look so friendly. They're smiling. I'm like, it's not, though. Like that, they don't know what a smile is.
Like that.
That's right. I'm like, that's just face. Like, you don't know what that expression means. I don't even think they have expressions. They're stingrays. Anyway, it's a whole thing.
Have you ever seen the stingrays that people dehydrate so that they look like monsters or goblins?
What? No. Oh, God.
Do not Google that if you have a thing about stingrays. They're creepy as hell when they're dehydrated.
I'm going to, right? You know that, Chris. I'm going to. Because you said it, so now I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna wait till we're done recording, but I'm absolutely gonna look that up and be horrified. So
was there ever a time
Sorry, and you're welcome.
Right?
Yeah, right. Was there ever a time in real life that you were terrified of something as a teen?
The first time I heard this was from the best therapist I've ever had, and she basically said the same thing. She's like, Paula, there's really like nothing wrong with you per se, just the world is a really deeply unfair place and you just happen to be one of those people who
got shit on.
Stop noticing it. Yeah, like you can't stop noticing it and you just keep getting shit on, like it's not your, and that was, I had the very, very similar experience. So thank the universe or whatever for therapists who can tell kids those things and, help them feel better. Because up until that point, it never occurred to me because nobody ever told me that. Nobody just said, no, you're right. The world is fucked up and you happen to have
bad luck.
Happen to be bad luck and be in these categories that are very far outside the status quo and, you'll be treated as such for, however long. And, that was really, again, like that was very liberating to hear that. I'm like, oh, and that took a lot of the weight off of, I think, a lot of the stuff I was going through at the time.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. That totally just clicked to me. I did not know that Jadzia Dax was also in Hellraiser.
Yeah,
awesome.
She was in so that was the only reason why I had no interest in Hellraiser before.
Star Trek people up in this?
No, there's that, but there's also, and speaking from my own personal experience, she was hot. I mean, come on.
Yes. Oh my God.
Also, yes. Yes. Yeah, these are facts.
In case she ever hears this, I'm sure you're still hot. I just haven't seen a picture lately.
at the time, like that. That's just still hot. But like at the time, I was just like, wow. So
you needed to see more.
I need to see more. And to be fair, that was one of the first same-sex kisses I ever saw on screen. Was when Dax kissed. Oh, what was the?
You know what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Anyway. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me watch Hellraiser 3 for reasons. And so I watched it. It was on Cinemax just to make it even better.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Is therapy self-inflicted pain?
Sometimes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. If you do it right. You know, I think it is. I think sometimes it is. I mean, I'll just say I've had therapists who have not challenged me, who have not made me, you know, hurt in that certain way, and I felt like it was a waste of my time. You know, like
get my money back.
Like
you're not hurting me enough.
You're not hurting me enough, which probably, again, says a lot about me as a person, which I understand that's the point. But no, I mean, I feel like it's to an extent. You have to get through that pain, right? Like you have to, like you were talking earlier about like the purpose like of this show and like horror makes us happy and looking at like the stuff that's uncomfortable.
Now we come back to Beyond the Veil.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, you have to push through some of that stuff to get to whether it's acceptance or apotheosis, you know, like you got to go through some stuff and it's going to hurt.
Leave that as the exercise to the listener. Your research that word.
That is your
homework. How can you say it for me again? How do you spell it?
Enantiodromia?
Enantiodromia.
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 Can I hear it in a sentence?
It's not a spelling bee. All right, so last question. Is there anything you've thought of that might be relevant that hasn't come up on the call? Maybe something you thought of earlier that we bypassed?
Not really. I'm fascinated. First of all, I just appreciate the fact that I can have a conversation with people and be like, have you heard of 46 and 2 by Tool? And I'm like, yes. Like, you know what I mean? We just talked about The Crow for an hour. Like, yes, of course I had. So yeah. That's just.
He said, "Did you run into the side of the cabinet?" And I said,
"Yes,
yes, I did. That is exactly what happens."
How did you know?
How did you know? You just so smart. You've outsmarted me again. And then I couldn't resist, though, as I walked out of the bedroom. I was fine. It wasn't a big car. It was fine. As I walked out of my mom's bedroom, I was like, by the way, I don't think Tilly should have that really big knife to cut her neck.
Wow.
I am not proud of that, but I remember, to be honest, that's exactly what I did. And then, of course, the whole deck of House of Cards just came down, you know.
Oh, did she figure it out after that?
Yeah.
Well, then you got what was coming to you.
All is fair in sibling rivalry?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I snuck outside. I was 3 years old, and I watched it through the window.
Oh, even better. Just, no words for context. Just all the slaughter and horribleness.
Cried my tiny eyes out.
I bet. Yeah, I've watched it. I'd never heard of it as a child, luckily. I saw some things like Secret of Nim and I think Plague Dogs as a young child, but I'd never seen Watership Down until I was an adult. And watching that, I thought, I am glad I didn't see this as a child. Right. This would have been traumatizing.
Yeah. Yeah, even at 4, I thought to myself, they knew what they were talking about. I shouldn't have watched that film. So traumatized.
But did you learn your lesson?
I guess not.
Exactly.
That's why we're here.
But you feel very much in it, you know? You feel the family drama of it. Again, like Rosemary's Baby, I suppose, but they're both family dramas. It just goes so far with Linda Blair's character, you know, it just goes so far. And it's so edgy with the whole, like, f***ing herself with a crucifix and shit. I mean, it's just...
That's usually the first extremity in that film in my mind goes to, too. Same year, I hadn't seen it until just recently as an adult, and I'd always heard it was extreme. Like, yeah, whatever. And then, that's...
that's a scene.
To her, but
that happened, and she says that. Okay, let Jesus f*** you. Happy Easter, everyone, once again.
Yeah, we didn't mention that at the start of the call, but we're recording this on Easter Sunday.
There have been a few poignant moments.
Yeah. In your adult life, has there been a time where you're completely calm or safe or blessed?
Yeah, lots of times. Sex is really great.
I will also put a mark in that category.
Amongst consenting adults.
Yes.
It's great.
No complaints.
Yeah, I love being with my dogs, who are actually reminding me that it's 2 o'clock. I need to get them there at 2 because 4 p.m. is 2 o'clock for them. You know, being with them, being with family and like my sister's bubs, you know, that's really gorgeous. And exercise, like as a grown up, having found running, cycling, and you know,
I was about to say, I think they call it runner's high.
Yeah, I always loved cycling as a youngin' as well. Sad, romantic, weird. Quite into those things.
Okay. Favorite movie overall?
Dog Day Afternoon, probably.
Why?
Probably still Dog Day Afternoon. Sad, romantic, weird.
There you go. The formula works.
Humor in reality of what it is to be human. Complex, extraordinary characters. The 70s, which is just gorgeous. A true story. Politically, like sociologically speaking, I think it's extraordinarily powerful. I'd ride the face off Al Pacino.
Al, if you're listening.
Out loud.
Ooh, yeah, we should get him on the show.
Ooh.
He was the devil.
No, Mummy, he's got it all wrong.
Well, I mean,
No, I'm kidding. I think that's really smart. I think that's probably true.
Well, what I was going to say is I think even your mother would probably understand that even as her own, you know, adulthood, that these are things that all people deal with, not just women.
Yeah.
It's just that maybe is part of the lens that you're viewing it through at this particular moment. And the follow-up question to that is usually, do you have any idea why those things are important to you? I think that possibly has been touched on indirectly in the questions that didn't get answered. So the next question would be, why horror? Because couldn't you address some of these kinds of topics in other genres?
Yeah, and I think I did. I think I do in my watching as well. And in my filmmaking as well.
You should just chat GPT your research and be like, tell me about author Robert P. Ottone. You know, and it'll be
so
like,
it could be all wrong.
Yeah,
Robert
of course.
P. Ottone was born in the far-off year of 2097 and slayed 3 dragons by the time he was 6.
He died saving his family from a sinking battleship.
They were mermaids. It was sinking and falling onto them, and he moved them out of the way in time.
How this happened in Kansas, we're still not sure.
Perfect. Credit.
Have you guys ever been to Kansas?
I've driven through part of it, I think.
Isn't it the most boring drive you've ever experienced in your life?
I don't remember.
There you go.
It
was awful.
Unremarkable.
Part of me wants to joke, please don't call him Ozone in the intro. But then part of me wants you to, just for the fun of it.
See, now that you said that, I'm going to mess it up.
I know, that's why I'm laughing. Like, I'm going to put the idea in his head, he's going to fuck it up.
He fights zeitgeist with polite might.
Just find how many ways that you can intentionally fuck it up on purpose.
All of them.
Philip P. Ottoman.
Yeah, right. You got that one too, haven't you? I would imagine that's the most common one. One more.
Which one?
Before we get started.
Ottoman?
Otten. Otten is the most common one.
Otten.
Like cotton without the C, because people are idiots.
Tutankhamun.
You guys can butcher my name all you want at the beginning. It's your show.
I mean, we're not trying. Well, I was about to say we're not trying to, but at the moment we kind of are. What's the worst one you've ever gotten?
Otto from my high school gym teacher.
It's so easy, though.
I know.
I mean, that's just an abbreviation, though. I mean,
yeah, but she would say like Otto, and in my head, I'm like, my name is not Ottone, nor is it Otto, and thus I'm not going to respond. And then the best thing ever happened. She got hit in the head with a dodgeball, and it popped her eye out. So she missed.
What?
Yeah, she missed the rest of the year. This kid,
what the
Joe,
was the dodgeball made of?
Normal rubber, but this kid Joe Daytree threw it and nailed her in the side of the head and it knocked her eye out. It was dope. And then I didn't have to hear her call me Otto the rest of the year. She was an asshole.
I'm absolutely horrified. Yeah. That's
listen,
dodgeball.
Shit happens when you're playing dodgeball, dude. Like, don't get in the mix. Like, get out of the way, And
apparently she couldn't dodge a wrench.
Zingo.
Who the fuck gets their eye blown out by a goddamn dodgeball?
Yeah, that's hardcore, right? I wasn't there. Otherwise, I would have freaked out. But like, I heard about it.
Then now that's making me wonder. I mean,
no, it happened. Like, it actually happened. Like, her eye did pop out because they had to call the ambulance and they had a doctor come to the building to pop it back in. Yeah, it was like a whole scene. And then they got her to the hospital and then she was out the rest of the year. It was so cool.
My God, she's like a pug.
I would have. It's like, because I'm a teacher. I would have. I don't know, man. I'm not a gym. I should have been a gym teacher. You get to wear shorts all year.
God, that's got to be so freaky.
What, getting your eye knocked out?
Yes.
And I remember just having that fear, and that fear persisted into college, even because I had a professor who was special forces in Nam. This guy was like a badass. And
sorry, and have you ever seen what's the movie? Is it Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah, he was like Kinnison. Yeah. That's a good comparison. I never thought of him like that until now.
This teacher really cares a lot about what? I have no idea.
This guy was great. Like, so he was like my media studies professor in college, and he talked a lot about Nam, and he kind of like put this additional fear into me, like, this campus is going to empty out by this time next year. He's like, because the draft is going to come back. And he was like, so, if you're worried about that, and if the draft does come back.
I'm still just laughing, thinking to myself about Kinnison. Say it!
I gotta wonder, reading Lovecraft at a young age, and it sounds like you did grow up in the New England area. I saw like a meme or something recently, which was like, the town of, what is it, Innsmouth?
Mm-hmm.
One of the more regularly used towns in a lot of Lovecraft's stories is around the New England, Massachusetts area. So in reading these books and growing up in that area, did you picture all the dialogue in your head in like a Massachusetts accent?
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that and like I live,
there's wicked evil creatures coming out of the sea, kid.
I kind of chuckled when you said it doesn't get better, it gets different. Because I had gone to a weekend retreat with the group that I was a part of, and I've never seen this shirt. I've thought about having it made for myself because I loved it, but the leader of Mother Hen of the group had a shirt that she wore during one of these retreats that had 5 lines on it. It said, "It gets better, then it gets worse, then it gets different, then it gets real different, and then it gets better again."
Yeah.
And that really hit me because that really does describe it.
Yeah, it's true. The different becomes the new normal.
And I think you do start to learn eventually, which is why it's, 5 steps down. Yeah. Eventually you start to learn to find the good in that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So come check us out over at horrormakeshappy.com or check out some of our other excerpts until you find someone whose interview you do want to hear.